Okay, I'm going to see if I can do this guidepost just without copious notes. So there's some problems with privilege. We've talked about these before. Even just a few weeks back, I did a guidepost on privilege. But the problem that I'm most aware of at the moment is that within the ways that humans organize our common life, and as we distribute power so that things get done, we don't distribute the power equally. We have wealth so that things can get paid for, but we don't distribute the wealth equally. And we are at a point, have probably always have been, but it's very dramatically apparent now within the US that we're at a point where power is being accumulated and collected in certain places, and wealth is being collected in certain places, and very often they are the same places, in ways that are deeply problematic. And we need to deconstruct the accumulations of power and wealth, because they construct a kind of privilege. There's lots of other ways that we're powerful besides political power. And so we want to recognize that a healthy community is one in which there is healthy diversity, and that diversity is not used as an opportunity to privilege some people over others. Well, this is a little awkward for me to bring this up. As I have stated before, I'm like the poster boy for privilege. If it weren't for the fact that I am hard of hearing, and thus find myself not uncommonly in a group space, particularly like at a restaurant, people sitting around the table. I can be sitting there having no idea. I mean, people are laughing and joking and having a great time, and I'm enjoying the fact that I'm with them, but I have no idea what they're saying. I feel excluded from that. And that's growing as I get older. So I notice that hearing is a privilege that I don't enjoy. I would enjoy having it, but I don't have it. So I do have the privilege to being able to purchase, expensive and high quality hearing aids that help a lot. But other than that, I'm pretty much, I'm white, I'm wealthy, I'm first world, I'm educated. There's all kinds of ways in which I have privilege. And so why would I care? Because I know that privilege distorts the relationships that we have with each other in such a way that it damages the social fabric in such a way that everybody suffers. When we have, I think it's particularly obvious statistically, when there's a big gap in wealth or a big gap in political power, when there are high levels of racism or other kinds of discrimination, the whole society suffers, even those who are the ones who hold the privilege. So I have adopted a stance of wanting to dismantle privilege. How do I do that, right? I do it by recognizing when it is that I'm actually exercising a privilege, a power that somebody else doesn't have. But I don't always notice that. I mean, y'all saw recently, without thinking, without really looking at what does this word mean and how has it been used in the past, I was sort of blind to the ways in which I was being abusive. I have sometimes been able to see those patterns because I was with other people who saw them and they pointed them out to me. I can remember, what is it called? Anyway, sometimes if I sit down on a sofa and I put my arms out, I'm just kind of lounging, and I'm taking up way more space than is my space. There's a name for that. Somebody's going to remind me of what that is. But I had somebody point that out to me. That was a kind of my appropriating all of this space. Nobody else was sitting there. I was just being comfortable. I didn't see it in the way that other people saw it. But I was grateful for having that pointed out to me. And I am grateful when others point out to me the ways in which I am exercising my privilege in ways that are harmful to them. Because that's not the way I want to be. I want to undo that. The thing is, I don't see what I don't see. And so it requires that somebody else point it out to me. Now, I get it. I'm pretty sure I really do get this. That for somebody who is continually in a position of pointing out to others the ways that they're being harmed by a particular social dynamic. They get really tired of saying this over and over again, particularly when nobody's listening. So it behooves those of us with privilege, and we all have some privilege, but to the degree to which this is an area in which we care about having privilege, if we say, hey, I really do want to know when it is that I'm exercising privilege so that I can address it. And so if you point out to me, hey, Mark, there's this thing you're doing, I want to be able to assure you that I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to take it to heart, and I'm going to do what I can to transform my behavior. Even though there's a part of me that says, what? That's not what I intended. I'm not a bad person. There's all these defense mechanisms for me to be able to want to be able to say, this is not, oh, no, that's not, I want to push it away even as I want to open up to it. So that's my work, is to be able to be open to the feedback. From time to time, I hear people say, Mark, what you're doing is harmful. And I say, oh? Well, tell me about that. And they say, no, not my job. If you want to know about this, do the work. Do what work? Well, you've got to read this particular book, for example. Well, I read a lot, I've read a lot of books. Maybe I haven't read that one, but what am I looking for in this book? Just read it, right? And I do find that it's really irritating that people feel like they can say, this is not my job, when I really believe this is everybody's job. And if you're tired from pointing out to people things that they don't want to see, okay, take a rest. But then come back and do the work, because the work is our work. It's not your work, and it's not just your work or just my work. It is also our work. Because if we don't collectively do the work, the world doesn't actually transform. So that's what I want us to be, as a community where we are all doing our work and supporting each other in doing our individual work by doing whatever we can to point out and say, hey, you have some work to do here. All right. See you Sunday.